Hello, my friends. Katie Day with the Moving to Texas team here with another episode of the Real Advice podcast. I am excited for this week's guest. She is a South Florida native, and prior to getting into real estate, worked in advertising and marketing. Not only is she a wife and a mother and a realtor, she also gives back in her community, serving on boards and volunteering with many different organizations. She strives to treat every client with kindness and respect and approach every real estate transaction with integrity and honesty. Please join me in welcoming Lynley Ciorobea. Is that right?
Thank you.
Did I?
Lynley Ciorobea, you did a pretty good job.
All right, Lynley, what is going on? How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so fired up to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. So for those that may not know you, how did you get into real estate back in 07?
Yeah, 2007. So 2007, the world was kind of collapsing financially, and I was
Yeah,
working
great time to get into real estate.
not really. I was working at an advertising agency that specialized in high-end real estate and resorts. So
Okay.
all of our clients were cutting marketing budgets.
And you were in Florida?
So I was born and raised in Miami. I left for college, lived in Maine for 3 years, and then I'm back in Miami working at this ad agency.
Okay.
So, and then the market's collapsing and I'm having a baby and I'm thinking, what am I going to do here? And so a friend of mine reached out to my dad. She was looking for a new assistant. She was a realtor, still one of the top agents in my office, and asked if I'd come be her assistant. So I worked for her for almost 8 years. I knew nothing when I started, and I sat at a desk and took care of all of her transactions, marketing, you name it. I did everything. And I think the beauty of it was she let me do everything. So I learned short of pricing a house, I did everything else.
Yeah.
And then I had a summer where a really good friend of mine was buying and selling 5 properties. It was going to be like, $5 million worth of real estate in a summer, because I was her assistant, but I also sold a bit of my own. And I knew I couldn't possibly do a good job servicing my best friend if I was her assistant. So it was sort of my window of opportunity to go off on my own. And that was almost 9 years ago. So I've been an individual agent at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services EWM Realty in Miami for 9 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that like getting in that way where you're able to get hands-on training is super beneficial. Just what I found, and I'm sure you see this in your office, is like a lot of times when people like hire that assistant, it's, they just have someone that's kind of like running around all the time doing stuff, and it's not something where it's like good training, right? It's just kind of like make these photocopies and now go run to this property and now go do this and now go do that.
Right.
There's not like a, hey, these are the things that I want you to do for me type, kind of rollout.
Right.
But it's good hands-on training if you can find the right fit.
It was, I tell her all the time, everything I learned from you.
Yeah.
I took the good and the bad. I made the bad the way I wanted it. And it was invaluable in terms of getting me where I am today. And I also say one of the best things I learned from working for her was I met all the agents in town. Yeah. And they all knew me as Ashley's assistant. So I had street cred from day one, which I think is hard to build when you're a brand new agent.
For sure.
I knew them all. By the time I went off on my own, it was easy to I was in the circle, so to speak. Knew everybody.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that that's something that's probably people don't think about, right? Is those relationships, and being able to build those, from the start is easy. Cause I think that it's also too, like, if you're a brand new agent, you're like trying to call now you, right? To be like, hey, can we go get lunch? Or, hey, can you show me this? You're like, I have so many things going on right now. But if it's like, you would already, someone had already been working with someone you knew, you'd definitely be more open to helping them out or to doing the things. So, outside of like obviously having all of those transactions right off the bat when you're going out on your own is such a great opportunity to have, right?
I know.
Where did the rest of your business come from, right? Like, okay, because you go out on your own, you have these properties and that's great, but then it's like, okay, when all of those sell, then
now
what's happening? So what did you do as far as lead gen as a brand new, effectively brand new agent?
Okay, so remember, I grew up in Miami, so I'm selling real estate in my hometown. I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I knew with my marketing and advertising background, the most important thing I was going to do when I left her was brand myself and let everybody that I know that I'm now a realtor.
Yeah.
So before I did anything, I built a website. I got a logo, I created a little marketing package for myself.
Yeah.
So I could say, this is now my full-time job. I'm doing it by myself and I'm real. Like, this is me. I know what I'm doing. So, and then I just marketed to my sphere, which is what I continue to do to this day. It's just all about who I know and getting referrals from people. But that's how it started back then. Obviously, it's grown. The more people you know, the better we do in this business.
Yeah.
But I didn't have much back then to support why I was going to do a great job selling your house. So a lot of it in the beginning was people that already really knew me and trusted me. And then it's just grown over the years.
For sure. It's funny thinking about that now, and with your background, that's clear. That's like where you should start. Right. But I don't know like how often you use to like the BAM, Instagram and stuff. They're like, stop worrying about your logo and learn how to sell real estate. But you already had that. You already had
I had that
baseline.
and I followed Ashley's lead. Like, she had really nice marketing. I knew I needed it. And so yeah.
And it came natural to you. It's the agents that sit there. If you're listening, thinking about your new logo, it's the agents that sit there, and it's like, should it have a house or a key? Should my initials be on there or not? Should it be this or that? And
I know
3 weeks go by without.
I found someone on Etsy, and she created it was super inexpensive. She created my whole branding package, and I used her for like 8 years after that because she did such a great job.
Yeah.
And then she retired. So now I've moved on.
Back to square one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Sorry. That's great. I love hearing how like people's previous careers have served them well, in real estate, and like whether it's marketing or branding or, whatever, like it's always interesting to hear like people's journey to get here, because it's not usually a first career, right? It's not normally our first choice in careers.
Out of college, I don't think most people say, I want to be a realtor.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, what advice would you give? And we were talking a little bit before we started recording, and the market in Miami, and in Florida in general isn't hasn't been hit as hard this year, right, as some other states have, as far as like the amount of demand, and obviously supply is still pretty low there. People want to be in Florida because it's nice and sunny, and the business climate, and everything is generally pretty pro business, no state income tax, stuff like that, right? So y'all, similar to us, have high demand. And so I'm going to get to my question now. So like, what advice would you give to an agent that's in a market perhaps that may be hurting a little bit more, right? You got in 2007, which is probably one of the worst times ever to get into real estate, right?
Yes.
So if someone now is getting into real estate and they're like, man, like this is way harder than I thought it was going to be, what advice would you have for them?
I mean, I think my natural advice, just because it's the path I took, is don't be afraid to get on someone's team and learn from somebody that already knows how to handle this market, because there's just so much to learn from somebody that's been through it already.
Yeah.
And I actually can't imagine going through it not having that background, especially knowing what I entered in 2007. It was wild. I mean, we don't have months without closings, and she was one of the top agents at the company. There's just, and then the other thing I would say is take people out to lunch, talk to everybody that don't be afraid to ask for help. I've never been shy to reach out to people that I look up to and ask for help, or just ask to brainstorm. Because ideas, to this day, I have an addiction to learning. Like, things always come out of webinars or, whatever you're listening to or have time for. Just eat, sleep, and breathe it, because it'll pay off if you invest in it.
What are some things that you like listen to, read, follow regularly as far as like personal development?
I mean, I have like ADD of personal development. I can't stop. So I never read a book. I always listen to a book. So right now on Audible, I'm listening to 10X is Easier Than 2X.
Okay.
I love YouTube videos. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Burgess, but I'll follow. I mean, I watch all the BAM videos, you know, whatever I can get my hands on. I subscribe to so many newsletters that, I have way too much information to digest than I could possibly digest in any given day. Not to mention Instagram. I mean, the joke is like, get off your phone, stop scrolling. Well, if people would just stop posting so much good content, I'd be happy to do that. But I don't want to miss Katie's post today or you name it. I could sit on Instagram for days, and there's so much to learn on Instagram.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like, what am I in the mood for? Do I want to listen to a podcast, listen to a book, watch a video, scroll Instagram? It's everywhere. I can't escape it.
So speaking of Instagram, I've been loving your shift in content, and the content that you've been doing on Instagram. So first, if someone doesn't follow you, what's your handle on Instagram?
Yes. I should put that up there. It's at Lynley Residential. So my first name is Lynley.
Residential.
Lynley Residential.
So, I know we've briefly like kind of exchanged DMs and talked a little bit kind of about like where you are now with content.
Yeah.
And so I know that you batch content.
I do.
And I get a ton of questions on like the content batching process. So I would love to talk a little bit kind of about your process, right? Because I know mine, but I don't know yours.
Okay.
So how often do you shoot with your videographer?
So it's about every 2 to 2.5 months right now, because we've gotten so good at planning ahead. In fact, I was with her this morning before this.
Man, I'm surprised. I feel like I would have been super drained. Okay, so 2 to 2.5 month like shoots, right?
So this morning we brainstormed 20 videos, and we're gonna get together again next week and brainstorm more, so that in 2 weeks we can shoot it all. It'll take like 5 hours to shoot it all.
Okay, and in 5 hours, how many do you normally shoot?
Well, so we'll shoot 24 to 30. And I'm posting 2 videos a week. So, do the math. That'll last me a lot of weeks.
12-ish? You said 24 videos divided by 2 is 12.
And then sometimes I use a lot of props. So it does involve a lot of pre-planning, because I have to get them all.
Yeah, I just talk. So like I don't need to curate props. But if you guys haven't seen Lynley's videos, like it's they're funny. Like
they're ridiculous.
You've got like some okay, just kind of rewinding back to something you just said. So you meet with your videographer and you guys talk about the topics, and I guess then like what props you're going to be using and curating the content more, right? It's not just like, oh, we're going to talk about, condos collapsing. Like, you guys get into like the details.
Yes. I try sometimes successfully and sometimes unsuccessfully to keep a list going through, like in between our meetings. So when I show up, I have at least half a dozen video ideas ready. Although today I only had 2, but we just came up with a bunch on the fly.
Yeah.
And then we brainstorm and we come up with, usually I get on someone's Instagram account that I like, and I just steal ideas from other people, or I think of things that are happening in my own business.
Yeah.
Questions I get from people, and we'll put together a great list of topic ideas. She's extremely creative. I mean, I'm really lucky in that sense that she takes my boring real estate ideas and dresses me up like Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
So she's really good in that regard. And then our new thing is doing these 3 things about Miami.
Okay.
Which today our brainstorm went in a totally different direction, and I'm super excited about it. Because I felt like they were a little bit boring, but they're about to be more fun. Like I'm stealing Jason Cassidy's 3 of his favorite restaurants in San Diego, and I'm gonna take that theme, like my favorite 3 chocolate chip cookies in Miami, or the best place to get a birthday cake, or you name it. So
that sounds terrible. You're gonna have to go like try cookies and birthday cakes.
God forbid.
Yeah. So one thing that I think is kind of rare is that you have a videographer with the creative vision that can sit there and brainstorm with you and do the things, right? So I think that that's something that you've definitely found a gem in that. Because a lot of times, you have your videographers that are super technical and they can create these beautiful videos for you, but like 1, they know nothing about real estate, and 2, that's not their creative brain, right? Their creative brain is in the framing and the editing and all of that stuff.
Yes.
Right.
She's like a producer. I mean, that doubles as a videographer. To me, that's what she used to be a news anchor on Channel 4.
Okay.
And so she was in front of the camera. Now she's behind the camera, but she's brilliant. She's brilliant.
Yeah. But I think for someone that's just hiring a videographer that shoots and potentially edits for them, what I'm hearing is keeping that running list of ideas, right? if you're getting together, to talk about them or to script them or anything like that, then, have some sort of creative process on that. And whether that's with your videographer or on your own, and
Right.
then have that time to shoot where you're trying to get multiple videos done at one time. Right. So
Absolutely.
whether that's 2, 5, 10, 20,
Yeah.
getting as many as possible.
And I would say this has been such an evolution. When we
For sure.
started, we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like this, but we've realized that the more we can plan ahead of time, the more we can get done in a day, the better we are.
Yeah.
So it's evolved.
Isn't it funny when you look back at like the first round and you're like, oh God, I cannot believe that I thought that this was good. Right.
I know. And that's the thing. People want to jump to the best. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to just start, like do something. And my videos have evolved. We were doing a whole series that we just said, this isn't working. Let's switch it up. Right.
Yeah.
And so you just try new things and see what sticks.
One thing that I really like about your content is that it's very like hyper local, right? Like the 3 things about Miami, talking about what's happening in Miami real estate.
Yeah.
Some of the things are general, but it always seems to have like a little twist onto like how this impacts you if you are living here. And so I really like that, because the more local you get, the likes and the shares and the saves, while it may be, an agent in Iowa that's saving it to copy your idea, like chances are the people that are watching it are in Miami.
Right. And I've sort of been more thoughtful about that. As much as we want our video to go viral, I keep reminding myself that is not my goal. My goal is for more people in Miami to follow me and know me and want to use me as their agent. So getting a video to go viral, it doesn't serve me. So as long as I'm giving people in Miami the content that they need and want, that's really what's going to serve me the best. It's so tempting to just go for the best video that, gets spewed across the universe, but it's not what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. The dopamine hit isn't necessary. And what's crazy, I actually want, my lender right now has a viral video that's going off, and it's just talking about like affordability and things like that. And so you've got older people that are like, but the millennials don't save enough. And then you've got like millennial and Gen Z that are like, that's right. Like, that's why we can't afford homes and whatever. And right now, she sent it to me this morning. It's at 3.75 million plays.
No way.
Holy
cow.
Almost 54,000 sends and 16,000 saves. But what's been crazy, because I was like, I'm not trying to cut you down or whatever, but like, I want to know if you've gotten any direct, like actual business from this, or if like, because at this point she's like, oh my God, it's annoying. I'm getting so many comments. Like I can't respond to them. And people are arguing. And like, she's like, I don't know what to do. Every time I open up, she's like, I want it to die, because every time I open up my app, like, it's just like, it's going bonkers.
Right.
But, so that's kind of funny. But she said that, she's already gotten some direct people that are like, hey, I'm emailing you because I saw this video and I want to see if I can get pre-approved for a house, or, hey, I'm, whatever. Right. So I'm like, hey, like if you can get a couple like actual deals from it, then like it's worth it. Right. But
absolutely. But we can't chase it. Like, it's great if it happens, but it's just, it can't be.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes we're like, let's make a crazy video and, come up with this crazy idea. And then we go, wait a minute. Are we doing it just because we want the likes and shares and saves? Let's think again,
And I almost think too, it's like, if she picks up 40,000 followers, it didn't, but like if it picks up 40,000 followers, it's like, and then over the next 6 months, like, are all these people then going to unfollow you? Right.
Yes.
I also feel like when you're not being sincere to like your usual like shtick, people would be like, well, this is cringy, and then it's like, and then the people that you do want following you are like, bye.
Right.
So yeah, it's content's an interesting thing to do.
It is. And whenever I get personal, that's always what gets the most views, comments, DMs, like inevitably.
So I know that you recently, speaking of personal stuff, I know that you recently did a post about weight loss and your fitness journey that you've kind of been on for a little while now. And so that was just pictures, right? Or was that a video?
Well, I did a video in my car the day that I hit 50 pounds. It was 1 year and 50 pounds. And so I did a video. That video has 7,500 views, and it was just me talking.
Yeah.
It was so boring. It was just me telling the story. Like, why did anybody want to watch that? I don't know. But that's what I mean. That kind of stuff
Yeah.
that you're kind of vulnerable and people like it.
Well, and I think that like it's super real, right? Like in comparison to a video where it's like it's clear that this was shot professionally and it's been
Mhm.
edited and whatever, but like you
Mhm.
sitting in your car, be like, "Hey man, what a journey. This is
Right.
what's going on, in my world."
Yep.
Is something that it's relatable, right? Like
Right.
when you hop on and it's, post workout, or when you hop on cuz you just got caught in the rain or something like that. Like
Right.
people are like, "Oh, what's happening here?"
Right. Yes, totally. Yep.
But and also congratulations,
Thank you.
because you've been crushing it. And so I know you did a lot of running. Are you still running a lot as well?
Yeah, I do. I've always been a runner. I've always been an athlete, but I just have always carried a lot of extra weight because I don't eat that well. So I finally have all the cogs of the wheel in the
Yeah.
right spot. And I give it to you. You last year had this goal to do 300 workouts. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I never thought to have that goal." So this year I have that goal. Today was 148 out of 300.
All right, you're on
Yep.
track.
July 2nd will be the middle of the year, like the 183rd day of the year.
Yeah.
And I will hit 150 that day.
Yeah, you're on track.
I'm on track, but I just can't slow down.
Well, that's what I say. It gets tough on the back half of the year because it's like between November, Thanksgiving and like
Uh-huh.
family travel and stuff like that. So like I would try to squeeze in a few over the next few months. So
Right.
when like the days are long and the weather's nice, you can get a little jog in the afternoon or something like that.
Yeah.
Because the back half of the year,
It's tough.
there
I
have
know.
been a few Decembers where I'm like, ah, shit, like I gotta get into gear.
Right. And I had this total dream like, oh, by the middle of the year, I'll have a few extra in my bag so that when December comes, and no, I don't. In fact,
Yeah.
every day counts. So, whoops,
Yeah.
gotta stay on track.
Well, I think this is the time of year where it's like it's the evening jog or walk or like doing some extra stuff. It's like it's pleasant in the summer. I mean, and it's pleasant in Miami all the time, but the days
No,
are
it's not.
longer. So
In fact, it is not pleasant in the summer. It's dreadfully hot all the time.
I
So
mean,
I'd rather
it's
do the
hot here
extra
too.
workout in January, and I didn't. And
I was to
now
say,
it's too
well,
hot.
Lindley, January is gone now.
I
So
know. Missed that boat.
that is fast. No, that's epic. I actually stole it from Tom Ferry like 5 years back, or something. He did like 250, and so I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll do that. And like I did that. So I like increased it. I increased it. And I increased it this year with like the baby and everything. I'm doing 250 this year.
Yeah. I think
Um,
that's very fair.
so
You have a newborn.
yeah, but I'm behind. Like so you said July 2nd is the midpoint of the year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah, but Katie, you had a baby and you weren't allowed to work out.
I
So you have a
also
hall pass.
thank you. Let's see. I'm at 86. So I'm a little behind, but I'm not concerned.
No,
Because 250, like it's
you'll be
doable.
fine.
I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, all right, we went down. So
I
now
know. Sorry. I had to acknowledge that though, because I'm fired up about that goal
yeah,
and it's all you. I got that idea from you.
I'm glad that we connected over that. And so running before, now you run and you also do CrossFit, right? Is that
Yeah, I do. I belong to a CrossFit gym and I do their non-CrossFit workouts mostly, but I've started doing a little bit of CrossFit. I'm
yeah,
trying to learn how to do a pull-up. So, in order to gain upper body strength, it involves CrossFit.
yeah.
I don't have any upper body strength, so we're working on it. But yeah, I love
Um,
running. I've done a marathon. I've done many half marathons, and I run when I can if I'm
yeah.
not at the gym.
Yeah, for sure. The more that because I used to run like post high school, post college, I ran a lot. But then once I kind of got more into weightlifting, like
Mhm.
the most I'll run now is like I do a 5K just to make sure I still got it, and then I go back to lifting weights because it's just like I feel better, when
I
I'm
know.
lifting than when I'm running.
I hear you.
So
Love all of it.
all right, we kind of went down a rabbit hole there. But I think
Back to
that
real estate.
yeah, I think that you know, mental health and mental and physical well-being tie a lot into into business, and you know, if you feel good, then you normally like perform better and stuff like that. So I think it's still important to talk about. So
I do too,
is
and I just think that having that kind of structure and goal that we commit to, it crosses all areas of our life. And I do think that the eating healthy, the losing the weight, the working out every day, it helps my business too. In some weird way, the way that I'm accountable to all of it helps my business.
are you a morning worker outer or an evening?
Oh no, I have to do it in the morning. I have a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old. And if I don't do it in the morning, something will come up that I can't do it in the evening.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, at least for me, working out in the morning, if I get it done in the morning, then I seem to make better decisions all day, and I'm just like way more productive than if I sleep in until like 7 or 8. Then
Right.
it's like I'm like off all day. I don't know.
Right. No, it's true. I agree. Yeah, morning or bust.
Yeah.
Morning or one of those days I'm not getting towards my 300, pretty much.
Yeah. No, I mean, you gotta make them count now. All right. So back to real estate. Talked a little bit about the batching of the content. Um, just touching base on like wrapping a bow on that one. So then your videographer gets them all edited, whether they do it themselves or use an editor or whatever. And then do you just get like a Dropbox folder of all of the videos, or do they post for you, or do you post yourself? What does that look like?
Okay, so she puts everything in Dropbox, labeled whatever. In fact, these days we're doing for Lynley's Lowdowns, which I post on Wednesday. She's doing a Dropbox with no music because we were trying to see if it helped for me to put it natively in Instagram. It doesn't. But then I recently hired a virtual assistant from Virtue Desk, and she's making sure, because I was doing a really great job of getting all my videos on Instagram, but not so much at getting them across all the platforms.
Yeah.
So now I have somebody, and we have a Excel spreadsheet that we use that's like our content calendar. So I know until August what's posting Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I help write the captions and the hashtags, and she puts it everywhere for me. So I don't really even have to think about it anymore. And that's working really well, because it didn't do me any good to pay to have all these amazing videos and then only put them on Instagram. So now we're making sure that they go everywhere.
To like TikTok,
Facebook. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn if it's appropriate, Google My Business if it's small enough. And then an email newsletter.
I like it. I recently did the same thing, like beginning of the year-ish, right? Because I was like, dude, I'm making all of this content. I'm putting it all out so that my VA has been repurposing them all. She went back, a couple months. And then I actually have it set up now to where, like, when I post on Instagram, it takes the post in the caption and sends it in a using Zapier or whatever, to be like, hey, the post is live now, start the workflow kind of thing.
Come on, Zapier will do that for you?
Yeah. So you hook up Instagram to either like, I have it in Slack, or you can have it go to a Google spreadsheet or something like that. I mean, you can have it go wherever you want, right? Of like, hey, here's the post, now go do the things, right? So if you have your checklist, just because like, obviously she can post natively, but like, I know for me, I like posting the Instagram post that has the captions already on it, right?
Right.
And I think you use Instagram captions as well.
I do.
So then that way it's like it at least has some continuity from like the Instagram's like the starting point, and then it goes out from there. If that makes sense.
Wow. That makes sense. I need to try that.
So yeah, happy to hop on a call and go over that.
Because I use Zapier for other things.
Yeah.
But I didn't know you could use it for that.
I've been going hard on the Zaps lately, of just trying to figure out different ways to not necessarily like automate things, but like, just remove some of the like human needing to do things. Like
inefficiency.
Yeah.
I hate
lot
inefficiency.
Of that.
Yeah.
A lot of that in my life.
That is awesome.
No, I like that. I think that it's awesome that you are the start or the catalyst of the creation, right? Like, I think it's very obvious sometimes when you hop on people's profiles, you can be like, oh, this is clearly a Chat GPT caption, right? Like, this is not Lynley talking. This is like totally just,
She tried the captions a few times, and I could tell they were Chat GPT, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to stick with writing them. They have to sound like me. They have to, they're a little funny. I'm not that funny, but I just like them to be
Marginally
authentic.
funny. Yeah.
So I took caption writing back to my side of the fence.
For sure.
And so she just copies and pastes. It's super easy.
Yeah, no, I mean, that works. Anyone that I know that has a social media person that it's successful, it's like they had to study their language for a very long time
Right.
before doing anything to where they were actually posting stuff, right?
Right.
And that's a whole task when,
Yeah,
you're
that's
working with
hard.
a VA on the other side of the world. So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
But she's been great. I can't say enough good about having somebody that I go to sleep knowing it's everywhere it needs to be, and I didn't have to think about it.
Are there any other things, you mentioned you're an individual agent, right? So you have a VA assisting you with,
Yes.
some of the social media repurposing. You've got your videographer/producer, right?
Yes.
Helping you with
Yes.
the actual content creation. I
Right.
know you do some content creation on your own as well. Have you leveraged out any other portions of your business, or do you have other people or companies that help you with other things?
I have an assistant.
Okay.
She's sitting over here. She's the best. So she does all the transaction, coordination and inputting of listings. She takes care of all the behind the scenes paperwork stuff for all of our, for everything.
Everything. Yeah. Okay.
And she was doing some of the marketing before I brought on the VA, but it was just too much.
Yeah.
And then I have a CRM. I have all those kinds of tools that I have,
Yeah.
but people wise, I would say we've sort of hit my main people.
Yeah, for sure. How long have you had an assistant?
From the very beginning.
Really?
Yeah, I would say I don't know, Mitzi, a year after I went on my own, she one of the top agents in our office retired.
Okay.
And he came to me and said, Mitzi's amazing. You should hire her. And so I was like, oh my gosh, can I? 2016, she started with me. So yeah, she's been with me a long time. She's phenomenal.
What advice would you give to someone if they were looking to hire, right? Because I think that's the biggest thing. I know I had that block, right? Before I hired my first, person on the admin side of things,
Yeah.
of being scared to pay the salary or to pay that money for someone else, because it's like, well, what if I don't make any more money?
I know.
What advice would you give to someone if they were on that kind of point where they need to start leveraging their time better?
It's so easy on this side to give this advice. It's a no-brainer. It's so hard when you're on the other side to make that decision.
Yeah.
And they talked about it in that 10X is easier than 2X book. It's like, we need the help in order to free us up to do the things that are going to help bring in more business.
Yeah.
Period. And if I didn't have her, I'd be bombarded with paperwork all day, every day. Not to mention, she's way more good about the details than I am. So even if I was doing it on my own, it would be a shit show. So she's invaluable, right? And worth her weight in gold just from what she does. So it's really hard to get your head there when you think you're not going to make any money this year. But the reality is you can't afford not to have it. And I actually am listening to my own speech right now because I know I need to bring on a buyer's agent, and I have my own fear around that. Yeah. So it's you just have to take the leap.
Well, and sometimes I think another kind of adjustment too could potentially be having a showing partner or something like that, right? That you could bring on slightly sooner, to assist with showings, that it's or something like that. So there's always options.
I agree. There's options.
There's always options.
But there's 4 C's. I was just reading a book about the 4 C's. It's like you need the courage, and then you need the commitment. I'm going to get them wrong.
You got 2.
You got to read the 4 C's: courage, commitment. Anyway, and you can't be good at something. You can't know you've made the right choice until you've made it.
Yeah.
So I just believe it always pays off to invest. It's an investment. It's not an expense. And if you have enough business that you're up at night doing paperwork, it's time for an assistant.
I'm trying to find the 4 C's.
Yeah.
There's 4 C's of diamonds.
No.
Buying diamonds. There's lots. Okay, so apparently there's lots of. I just
4 C's.
Googled this. Yeah, there's lots of 4 C's, but the biggest one is Blue Nile diamonds.
Oh,
saying that there's 4 C's to buying a diamond.
I mean, I do like
Um,
diamonds.
yeah, no, I mean, that's what did you say the first 2 were?
Here it is. No, it's not. Well, it's
Wait,
you have to have courage. You have
yeah.
to commit. Let's get those 2 and then say 4 C's. We're going to find it.
Commitment, courage, capability, and confidence?
There you go.
Is that it?
You're not going to get the confidence in your decision until you've committed to it, had the courage to do it. What was the third one?
Capability.
Realized you're capable of it, then you have the confidence. So when you're trying to make a big decision,
courage,
you don't start.
confidence.
Listen, if we knew that bringing on an assistant was absolutely going to change our path, we would do it. But we don't know that, right? We just have to have the courage and the commitment to do it before we're going to have the confidence to know we made the right choice.
Yeah.
The confidence comes at the end.
It's unfortunate.
I know. It's really a problem.
And for the people that have the confidence beforehand, they're probably just, or not, they're just full of shit. So, there's that.
Maybe we should all be a little bit more full of shit, though.
I don't know. I don't know.
I just struggle with decisions and, eventually make the leap. I'm always happy I made the leap later, but it's hard. It's hard to make those decisions sometimes.
I think it's also trying to determine what your goal is, like, or your end goal is with real estate, right? Because it's like, like teams have always been the sexy thing for the past few years and different things like that. And it's like, not everyone wants to or should be a team leader, right? I know tons of individual agents that have like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 assistants that just crush, right? Because they're like, I have no interest in managing, agents, but having people that do specific things and specific tasks, like, help me to sell 10 or 20 or 30 more homes a year. So,
right.
I mean, it just depending on what you want. But if you want to hire an agent, I can help, hold you accountable to that. So,
oh, thanks.
We'll stay, in contact on that one.
Oh, boy.
All right. So switching gears once again, if it were your last meal on earth, what would you be eating?
Oh my gosh, that's so hard. Something probably unhealthy.
I mean,
which
obviously.
I don't eat a lot of these days. It would be like fried chicken and macaroni and cheese.
Nice.
And I'd have to have cake or ice cream afterwards.
Or both,
Or why not? I love dessert.
I like it.
How about you? I want to know what you would pick.
I mean, my favorite foods are steak and sushi. So it would be some sort of like, red meat and sushi of some sort.
I was waffling between fried chicken or steak. I love steak.
Yeah. But fried chicken is also very good as well.
It is.
Awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, thanks for having me.
I know we talked about it earlier, but if someone doesn't follow you, is Instagram the best place to connect?
I love Instagram. It's my favorite. Yep. Instagram.
And it's Lynley, Lynley residential, right?
That's it. That's
awesome.
Right.
Perfect.
Find me there.
Thank you so much. And
thank you.
I look forward to talking to you again sometime soon.
Awesome. See you soon.